All right. That's a great start. Excuse me. All right. Just getting started. Okay. Did you want to? Here, we have a chair right here for you. So you're not on the floor, or like here's fine. You sure? Okay. It's probably going to be better also just because of the camera. It might look strange for the video. Here, I can pull up another chair right here or right here. Where's better for you? Here's perfect? Okay. Let's grab that chair for you. May I have a seat, please? Thank you. I'm going to pass it to you. Chest overhead. Good. Yeah. Does this one already started, Julia? Julia, is this one already started?
So what I like about the Osmo is like you can double tap and it will track your face.
What does it do to your face?
That looks so good. You double tap and it will track your face, so the camera will move based off of where you are. So where you clicks, and then what you do is you can have it come there. And then
Getting after it.
there we go. Active trap enabled.
There we go. Cool. Fingers crossed. Godspeed. All right.
Just imagine like all the cameras break.
Nah, we're not imagining that, putting that out there for sure. Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Good.
It's lovely to meet you all. Thank you so much for your training, Julia. I know we all just learned a lot, and thank you for opening up your home. I did not realize it was your second time speaking.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did better than last time.
Girl, that's amazing.
Yeah. You didn't see my last time either.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Okay. Do you ladies know how hard it is to come up and speak in front of an audience if you haven't done it yet? Some of us? Who has spoken on a stage before? A few speakers in the room. Let's go. How many create content? All of us. Okay, cool. Awesome. So we do know it's challenging. So today I'm going to be talking about how to be a confident communicator. We've talked a lot about branding in these workshops. We've talked about marketing and content creation. What all of those things have in common is that it's communication. So we need to be able to communicate confidently offline and online in regular one-on-one conversations and then to an audience as well. So I'm going to be going over some confidence tips today and then also some little tips that have really helped me along the way. But I'm going to kick it off with my story first. So you know who the heck is speaking right now and why should I listen to her? Okay, brief introduction so you have an idea of who I am. I have ADD. That means I have a lot of hobbies, I do a lot of things, and I love to have fun. Just like Julia and I have a lot of fun together because we have a million ideas. Yeah, exactly. So professional business capacities, I operate as a business coach, keynote speaker. I host probably 2 events a week here in Bali. I host retreats and group trainings that I do a lot of. On the personal side, I lead Bible studies around town. I obviously love Muay Thai. That's how we got connected. That's why we did Muay Thai this morning. And I love traveling to Thailand. I've been living back and forth between Thailand. In January, it'll be 10 years of going back and forth to Thailand. My values, I think it's important to communicate those as well. Faith and freedom are my ultimate values, followed by family, stewardship, collaboration, integrity, professionalism, and excellence. Okay, now my company is Total Freedom Coaching. Why? Because it's so easy to get in what I call the freedom paradox. You have financial freedom, but you have no time. Right? When you sign the contracts, you're undercharging, you don't realize what's going on. Or you can have travel freedom, but you don't have financial freedom. Or maybe you have both, but emotionally you're in a prison, you're completely isolated, and you're having nervous breakdowns, right? That's also not quite freedom. Freedom to me, what I want for everyone here is total freedom. That means you are emotionally free. That means you are financially free. It means you're free to travel. That means you're free to express yourself and be fully authentic to who you are. And I have a feeling we have some shared values in the room if you ended up here and you're in Bali, right? So that's something we can definitely connect on. Okay, let's just get this out of the way too. When it comes to coaching, I'm a super nerd. Some of us were here last time. Nerd like to the letter. So what I like to do is find a new topic and dive all the way in and learn as much as I possibly can. So my background in coaching is based on neurolinguistic programming. This is studying the way that you perceive the world around you and how that translates on the inside into thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So all those patterns you don't like, all that trauma, let me be the first to tell you, if you don't already know this, you can rewire that and let that go. I have a lot of trauma, and we'll get to it maybe briefly, but that's what kickstarted my interest in all of this, because when you understand where I came from, anything you see about my life story just doesn't make sense. Point blank, I don't look like where I came from, definitely don't look like the origin story, and I'm so grateful that I get to experience this life and share that with you as well. But all the foundations of what I teach, both personal and like trauma rewiring, but also in communication and business, has to do with an NLP background. If you want to get better at sales, I encourage you to look up NLP sales videos. If you want to get better at marketing and copywriting, I encourage you, look up NLP copywriting. This is the very foundation of communication, whether it's marketing, sales, content creation, because we can use words to communicate, but we want to make sure those words are being received in the way that we meant them. Especially online, things can get hectic there, yeah? So a little relevant, but I have 18 certifications in this because I really like to study, okay? So when I say I know what I'm talking about, I've studied thousands of hours of this, yeah? Now, I was inspired, and I add this slide last minute just because, for you, Julia, actually. This is my first time ever speaking, okay? I know you can't see it, but I was so terrified, I had a nervous breakdown the 5 minutes before I got on this stage. There's about 40 people in the room, and you can kind of tell my legs are like this, and my hand is shaking, and I remember asking my friend, can you tell like that I'm nervous? Because the mic, I remember, was literally shaking in my hand. And he's like, no one can tell. I'm like, cool, if no one can tell, then I can fake it. But I did it. I got up in front, and this is in Miami, where it lives up to its reputation of being a little judgy. And so all of my stuff came up when I went to speak. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I fit enough? Am I going to communicate the right way? Am I going to stutter? Are people going to think I'm dumb? Are people going to judge me for this? I can't post it online. Like, all this stuff came up in the 3 minutes before I got on stage. But the point is, I did it, and I really encourage everyone to, because if you don't take that first step, if you don't get in front of an audience, if you don't do the reps, it's not going to be good, yeah? You're not going to get to the other side, and we'll see what that looks like. So yeah, in the beginning, it was rough. That was a very rough speech. I think it's still on YouTube. I like to leave my beginning days on, just for inspiration, yeah? But since then, I've met some amazing powerhouse speakers. This is my first workshop I ever hosted. Some of you actually may know where that is. Brownie points if you recognize the room. If you've been to Phuket, you might know it. Fitness Street, anybody?
Yeah, of course. I don't know the place now.
It's a co-working space right across from Tiger. Coco Villa? Yes. First workshop I ever hosted. Equally terrified. Equally completely petrified, because now I'm actually leading a workshop. And I hosted it with a friend, but I can tell you I was petrified. But I did it anyways, yeah? Then I got used to speaking. I started, anyone know where that is? Oh, some of you might recognize the spot.
The viewpoint in Phuket?
So this one, I switched islands on you. That's Koh Phangan. I used to host women's masterminds, accountability groups, and workshops out of Koh Phangan. This was in, let's see, this was either at Sunset Hill or it was at one of the other co-working spaces there. But this is how I broke my fear of speaking. I went to a brand new island where I know absolutely nobody. I went on Facebook, and I said, I'm hosting this event. 4 people RSVP'd. Pretty good. 4 people, I just made 4 new friends. Except 20 showed up. That breaks every rule of marketing. Because usually if 4, they say they're coming, you're lucky if 1 shows up. And I was fine with that. But 4 said they're coming, and 20 showed up. And so I had to make a decision now. How do I handle this fear of speaking? Speaking in 4 people, you're at a table. Speaking in front of 20, shoot, people are relying on me, and I did not prepare anything. I prepared a conversation with 4 people. But something really powerful happened in that moment, and I realized I don't have time to think about myself right now. In that moment, I was like, there are 20 women here with an intention to get something out of this. Whether that's connections, they want to learn from me. They came here to get something out of it. So I'm going to worry about myself later. I'm just going to put that on the shelf. And let me just ask. Instead of guessing and assuming what everyone wants to get out of this, let me just ask the room. So I had everyone, what do you want to get out? What do you want to get out? What do you want to get out? And I just started talking from there because I chose the topic of the day. I chose something I know a lot about. So once I got the questions answered, I was able to break that fear by focusing on others. I'm no longer afraid to speak. I've hosted there was one day I accidentally signed up for 4 hours of speaking straight. I thought it was 90 minutes, and it was at a college university, okay? They told me I had a speaking slot, and they said, actually, it's 2 speaking slots, and it's actually, yeah. But I was able to do that without preparing. Why? Because I was focused about other people and not myself. So if you have a fear of speaking, that is a key indicator that you're more focused on yourself and the person you're trying to serve. When you change your heart posture, that fear disappears because you're not thinking about yourself anymore. Yeah? I've done some pretty cool speaking events since then. I've done charity events, women in business events. I've been flown out to Cabo and Dubai to speak. I've done some really cool stuff. Been on some main podcasts, like biggest audience. I was on this podcast, and there was a steady 35,000 to 75,000 people watching straight through. That was insane. But all that to say, you get to have, be, and do whatever you want in this life. But you need to be clear on what you want. If you focus on what you don't want, that's exactly what you're going to get. That's why I get to have this lifestyle, and why I'm so happy to be in this room, because now I have girlfriends who have the same lifestyle. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. And one note on this, with personal branding. I was debating putting this in there or not. If you're worried about sharing your story, maybe you have some dark bits, maybe you're just not ready yet to share certain things, I just want to encourage you, your story is what you make it. You don't have to share anything that you're not ready to share yet. Yeah? If it's still painful, if it still hurts, if it's still a bleeding wound, don't put the pressure on yourself of a creator to put all of it out there. You genuinely don't have to. Anyone feeling inspired from that story? Some of us? You don't have to lie, but awesome. I created this story arc based on what would inspire you, based on the result you want to get out of today. I did not have to share my whole story. I did not have to share the origin story. I didn't have to share any of the parts I don't want to. But I'm going to share a tiny window just to make it a little bit more dramatic, yeah? You choose your story knowing it's still being written.
Wow.
When I say you don't need to know and share everything, I don't look like where I came from. This was one of my bedrooms growing up. It's a blurry photo. There's a literal hole in the floor of that bathroom to the first floor, okay? There's not even a flooring in there. That's an air mattress, okay? There were times when I slept on a yoga mat on the floor because I could not afford rent. I've been homeless before. I have been bottom of the bottom of the bottom, okay? And clearly a lot of trauma, you can tell right there. So that doesn't define me. If you have something that you're thinking of right now where you're like, oh, I can never do what these girls are doing, or I can never do whatever that Instagram influencer is doing online that you look up to, there is no excuse because you're not your past. You are not what happened to you. You're not actually any label that someone ever gave you. It's not yours to take. It's only yours if you claim it. But you don't have to. So I want you to really focus on the person and the woman you're becoming, not where you came from. Yeah? Okay, 3 things you're going to learn today. Confidence is about unlearning. We're not learning confidence today. We are unlearning the lack of confidence. We're going to talk about how to eliminate the confidence blocks and confident communication at the end. All right. This is not a trick question, but would you say that this baby is confident? Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. What makes that baby confident? Welcome.
You don't care.
He doesn't care.
It's like being naive. Like being.
Yeah, naive.
Unknowing.
Yeah, no concept of other people.
Exactly.
Completely no concept. Yeah. What else makes this baby confident?
Ego less.
The biggest thing that comes through for me is when, that specifically baby, like when we're babies, we have this inherent feeling of worthiness. We already are whole. We already are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Inherent. Good word. I love it. Okay. So what are some key signs that really nail it, that this baby is confident? This baby's going to cry for every need. Doesn't worry about others. Always self-advocating. Guilt-free, joyful. The natural state is confidence. We come into this world with a natural state of confidence. I love that you said inherent. That's absolutely right. It's a natural thing for us. So if you think you're not confident, something got in the way. Because you're born confident. We all are. So what happens? What do all kids tend to say when they first learn to speak? Look at me! Look what I did! Look, Mom! Look! Look at this art I made! Look how cool it is! Look what I just did. Are you proud of me? Right? How many of us are doing that in our businesses and marketing? Ooh, that feels weird. Not that all the time, right? We need to get back to that because it's natural to us. Okay? Should be totally comfortable promoting yourself and talking online and in person. But what gets caught in the way? Maybe it's things that your parents have said to you. Maybe it was a teacher who said, oh, like in my case, a teacher that said, you're never going to amount to anything. You're going to fail out of college. Yeah? Maybe it was bullies who got in the way. Unfortunately, we learn embarrassment. We learn shame, rejection, failure. We learn fear. And so we need to unlearn those things. They're not natural to us. They were never yours to claim. It's not normal. I don't care how many people you know that experience these things, don't normalize it. That needs to break off of you. It's not going to serve you now. It's not going to serve you in business. And more importantly, it's just not going to serve the audience that you're called to create, that you're called to serve, the clients you're meant to have. It's not serving anybody, including you, right? So in my opinion, it's selfish to hold on to those things because other people are being impacted. Your message isn't being heard because we're holding on to things that don't belong to us. Which is why speaker confidence and success starts with your identity. We've been talking a lot about content creation and personal branding and scaling the business. And so we're looking here, personal brand, right? But there's a chain reaction that needs to take place. I used to have a personal branding agency. We had a big team. I've worked with some really cool names, really cool personal brands. And without fail, when having consult calls there, if someone is not solid on who they are, like to the core, is not solid on who they are, if that can be rocked, that personal brand's not going to stand. In my agency, I have had big investments for big branding projects, and we have completed the whole project with stunning branding, and I've had clients who've done nothing with it. They didn't use it. These weren't coaching clients, these were agency clients. So they got all the assets for beautiful branding, the photography, the videography, everything stunning, and then they got held up by this. Mindset wasn't good. So before you look at your personal brand, you need to be clear on what you want your public image to be. How do you want people to perceive you? In order to have an impact on this world, how do you need to present yourself to create that impact? Before your public image needs to come your self-image. Like it or not, that identity is going to keep going all the way to the end. So if you don't start at the root cause, all the negative insecurities are going to end up in your personal brand, and it's going to be really hard to conduct business the way that you want to. So before public image, self-image. Before self-image, the core identity. This is your value system, spiritual walk, vision, purpose, being super clear on your story. I know last session we talked about main character energy. And one of the questions I asked is if you think of your life as a movie, what character do you play? Are you the main character? Are you an extra? Are you a support role? That's a window into where you're at over here. So this is the work that needs to come first if you want your personal brand to be successful. And since we're talking about identity work, let's talk about who you're not, because the world is going to tell you otherwise. So these are the 5 Ps of a fragile identity. Anyone want a fragile identity? Because I don't. Nah, no one wants that. 5 Ps of a fragile identity, the number 1 thing is going to be your position. Hear me, ladies, you're not your business. You're not your role. You're not just the role that you play in your family. You're not your work history, right? You're not your position, okay? You have a position, but that's not your identity. Why? Because if you lost your business today, you would still be you, so you're not your business. Same thing with popularity. You are not your reputation and how others perceive you. Because if everyone thinks horrible things about you, it doesn't actually change who you are unless you let it, right? You're independent of those things. This is a lag indication. Possessions. You are not your appearance and material things. You are not your performance and your productivity and achievements, and women really struggle with this. Yeah? You are not your performance. Your performance is actually driven based on your identity of who you think that you are. Performance out of vision and excitement is powerful. Performance out of not feeling good enough leads to burnout. Where performance comes from is important, but that's not who you are. Past, you are not the things that happened to you. Yeah, everyone has a story, everyone has a past, but that's not who you are. So what do we need to do? If your identity is rooted in one of these 5 Ps, you're going to constantly be overthinking, and you're going to lose your ability to think critically and think creatively about who you're becoming. The goal is to have an unbreakable, anti-fragile identity. That way, when something rocks you, when you get hateful comments on the internet from some profile with no picture, of which we've all had, when you get hate comments, when someone posts something mean about you on the internet, when a family member says, who do you think you are to do this? You're not rocked by that. When your high school bully comes around and has something to say, you're not rocked by that. Okay? I'm sure we've all had experiences if we're creating content of a message or a DM or a comment that rocked us. Okay? We should be immovable when we get these triggers. That's the goal. That's the way we want to have an anti-fragile identity. If your identity is externalized, it creates the need for external validation. So if you think of my value is only based on how much other people appreciate me and like me, you're going to be reliant on constantly showing up to be liked. And that is not what an anti-fragile identity looks like. So anti-fragile looks like a relationship with your creator, taking on the experimenter and the story collector identity. This creates so much space for expansion. I'm an experimenter. I'll go to a Muay Thai class. God bless the 19-year-old me who goes on a one-way flight to Thailand and goes to Tiger Muay Thai and knows nothing about Muay Thai, by the way, and just shows up and starts learning. I've done that. I've done that with horseback riding. I've done that with Pilates. I thought Pilates was only for like rich hot moms, and why would I do that? You know what I mean? I just show up and I try something new if I know nothing about it. And I can do that and feel good about walking into a complete new room because I'm an experimenter. That's what I do. I experiment. I try new things. I'm totally fine. We did the last retreat, launching it in 14 days from idea. Let's do it. Let's experiment. Let's have fun, right? I'm a story collector. Man, sometimes I don't ask enough questions, but I got some great stories out of it, right? And in the learner, I'm going to make a ton of mistakes along the way. I know that I will, but I'm always going to be learning. And you can't learn if you don't make mistakes. So based on the identity, I have to therefore be making mistakes in order to learn. Yeah, it's not going to rock me when I mess up really bad. I adapt to my environment. I adapt to whatever comes up. And the elements of a resilient identity is having a value system. Having values in your business. I love that Julia just spoke about this. What are your values in business? What are your values in success? Is your definition of success someone else's? Because mine was. I started my business in Thailand and I had everything I ever wanted. But I looked online and thought, no, the next level is moving to Miami. The next level is doing what all my friends are doing with the crazy cars and the villas and the penthouses. And I got so wrapped up in that and I was miserable. And I tried to buy happiness and I learned a big lesson. I wasted a lot of time doing that. I was chasing someone else's definition of success without even realizing it. Right? Your spiritual identity, your family, your relationships, your philosophies. What is normal based on your identity? What's normal for you now might not be normal for the most successful version of you, right? Having a vision and clear image of the future evolution of who you're becoming. These are all things that are really important. So we need to take inventory and accept the starting point. And I like to do a fun little game. If you were here the last time, then you may already have the answer. So Julia, you may know the answer here. But let's play a game.
I saw the 2 cards, I was like, okay.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna do a race, okay? Obviously, figurative. It's $1 million in Monopoly money, and it'll be digital if he gets delivered, okay? So you're gonna choose your strategy. We're gonna do a race, and whoever wins this race gets $1 million in Monopoly money. Okay. Now, you get to choose your vehicle. This is not a trick question, okay? Up to you. I'm going to give you an unlimited budget to vamp up the car however you want. So you can get the sexy exotic car, or you can get the classic car. Choose your vehicle. And now you have an unlimited budget to optimize the car. Unlimited budget. That means you can invest. You might not know anything about what goes on under the hood of a car, but you can hire a pit team that does because you have the budget for it. So you get to pick your pit team. Anything you want to modify on the engine or the exhaust, that's on you. Unlimited budget. How confident are you that you're going to win the race? With an unlimited budget, unlimited team. So-so? Everyone thinks it's a trick question. I feel the suspense. All right. Here's the part we don't think about. It's an identical track for the race, but your track's not the same as everyone else's track, right? Identical in terms of dimensions, length, everything. It's a fair race. But your track might have some traffic cones, might have a car accident. Oops. I spent a lot of time in Thailand, so I put an elephant. You've got elephants in the road, yeah? Some of us have been there. Oh yeah, and I lived in Atlanta, and so sometimes for some weird reason in the US, there's always a mattress in the middle of the road. So you just don't know. It's so weird. The amount of times I've been on the highway, and there's a mattress, super weird. But you don't know what's there. And so how does this relate to us as business owners? Some of us are so focused on optimizing the business that we don't think about our track of who we are. That could represent trauma, that can represent bad habits or patterns that we haven't released yet. It's fair that we can have the perfect vehicle, but we might not win the race because we haven't looked at what's getting in our way. That could be a fear of speaking, fear of showing up online, fear of being on camera. All those things are going to be blocking you from winning the race. So some of you already have that elite vehicle, but you haven't cleared the road yet. I want to give you an example. I had a client. This is Angela. She's a founder, exited investor. She's a podcast host. She came to me with a crippling fear of speaking. She, hear me, built big businesses, also in real estate. She has a full real estate profile. This is a powerhouse woman that still inspires me to this day. She wanted to work with me because she had a fear of speaking. She wanted to host a women's event and serve other women. And she knew she wasn't going to be able to do that unless she got rid of this fear of speaking. We actually met at an Elena Cardone event. If you know her, she's awesome. Yeah. We didn't create a signature talk for her. She already had a brand. She didn't need the brand. She didn't need another program, another course. She didn't need any of that. She needed to go deep into the subconscious and figure out what was blocking. We were able to recover some memories using NLP, rewire it. She had a sold out, incredible women's event with such powerful speakers. She did 0 to launch in like 30 days. Sold out event. I think the cheapest ticket was like $300 or something. She was able to completely take off just by removing what was in her path. So I want you to be thinking about what is on your path. What is your elephant or your car crash? What does it look like? Think about the things that you need to be eliminating. So what blocks most speakers from their potential? We tend to think it's distraction. Oh, it's all the distractions in social media that's blocking me from my potential because I'm distracted. It's Instagram and crypto and YouTube, and it's just so much, right? But what we've learned, actually, I've studied distraction and how that works in the brain. It's actually not the external distractions that pull us away from our potential. For me, it was an inner critic, a negative self-talk. Take 1 step forward, take 3 steps back, because I think everything I do is horrible and not good enough. Okay? Very hard to get traction when you're doing that. I had a scarcity mindset, limiting effects of ADD and time management, completely blind to time, really struggled to focus, or like just pick one thing or pick my niche. That was mission impossible. Yeah, I have an overstorage of emotions. I had anger issues. Well, that doesn't matter, Tiff, because you're just hosting events. No, it matters. That bubbles up at always the wrong time. It's actually never a right time for that bubble up. And whatever you're dealing with in your personal life, that will 100% bleed into your business life. So if you think those two things are separate, think again. I was extremely shy and introverted. I say I'm an introvert, and everyone thinks I'm lying. It's true. I'm introverted. I had a fear of being judged, not good enough, worthiness issues, fear of public speaking. I was still recovering from burnout from corporate. My first paid vacation, I ended up in the hospital. Fun, expensive vacation, just not very luxury, you know what I mean? And so I knew it wasn't just me. I went and studied and surveyed. I personally interviewed over 200 entrepreneurs on success and what was getting in their way of becoming successful. And so these are the results that I got. 70% distraction, 67% procrastination, negative self-talk 40%, perfectionism 48%, 49% thought it was ADHD, low self-trust and personal discipline 44%, you can use that, 44% right there, okay? And it was affecting sleep as well. But here, 70% are blaming distraction. Distraction has an internal trigger. That means 70% have no idea what's actually getting in their way of reaching their potential. And I'll show you how I know that. Because only 50% put self-sabotage. Distraction is a form of self-sabotage. But it feels better and easier to say distracted because that's, oh, we're just going to blame these other external things, right? So what are the most common mistakes that I see? Blaming a lack of discipline or self-trust as a reason for distraction. Blaming external distractions. Focusing on distraction blocking software. There's so many apps that you can use to block distractions, right? That's not getting to the root cause here. And not defining what distraction and productivity are from the beginning. So distraction is a behavioral action, right? It's an action that you're doing here that pulls you out of a traction state. Anything that pulls you out of focus on your goals is labeled as a distraction. And it stems from an internal root trigger. That means if you go to create content and you get distracted because you have a fear of public speaking, you might blame the emails that just came in. But what's actually happening is subconsciously that fear came up, it triggered you, you blamed whatever notifications came in, and the content didn't happen. You called it distraction, but there was a root cause that was subconscious there. And distraction is one of your biggest business expenses, but it's not tracked officially on the books, and it's lost as visible hours. And so a lot of people know me for mindset. I love mindset. However, all the success mindset things you see look like this. And it's pretty familiar, and it sounds like you're doing the right thing. In fact, I have no doubt that every woman here in this room right now is focused on these things. You're writing your goals, your vision, your planning. You probably already know your why. You definitely have a growth mindset because you're here learning, right? We probably do resolutions and positive affirmations, healthy habits, like all these things. Oh yeah, I know what to do. I know what I need to be successful. What we don't look at here is the other side of this, which is the elimination mindset. Not as fun to talk about. Elimination mindset is, oh, you're constantly overwhelmed. You're on the burnout track. That's not going to lead to success. That's not something you ignore. That's something you need to remove because it is blocking you from your success. If you're downplaying your own success, I'm very, very guilty of this. Yeah. If you have an inner critic, not feeling good enough, like all of these fears, fear of being seen, doubt, insecurities, all of these things need to be removed. So I'm going to flip what you think about a success mindset and confidence here. You are confident at the core, but you have some things that need to get rid of. You need to clear these things out. Yeah? Then you're going to, that supercar is going to fly on that clear highway. I've seen people completely take off after this. Penny's another example of that. Penny, she has a PhD in positive psychology. This is another powerhouse. I look up to her so much. She's based in Melbourne. She's been flown all over the world to speak professionally by the biggest Fortune 100 to Fortune 500 companies. But when COVID came around, what happened to all the speaking at events? Zero, which means business was flatlined. So when Penny and I started working together, she was still in the most shut down city in the whole world, which is Melbourne. And we had to clear some things. She's like, I still want to speak and make money, but there's no speaking events. What do I do? So then we started working together. She didn't want to show up on social media. This is a woman who is literally, by the way, you can see this on YouTube. She's a legend, okay? She wore a bathing suit on stage in a Fortune 500 company to make a point about being vulnerable and confidence in speaking. So this is a woman who's comfortable doing that, but when it came to social media, oh, I'm really uncomfortable doing that. Well, we overcame some of those blocks and applied NLP to her copywriting. She rebuilt a multi-six-figure business in 6 months. I'm not taking any, okay, already a powerhouse, already a brand, okay, already crushing it as a person. But it was those blocks that were getting in her way. Yeah? So I hope you see yourself in some of these stories. You're already a powerhouse and have everything you need to be successful. But I want you to be hyper-focused on the things you need to let go of, because that's going to be the needle mover that's going to help you completely explode. Okay. On this part, let's talk about projecting confidence. See, I talk about confident communication, and everyone wants to learn, well, how do I get other people to think that I'm confident? So of course, I'm going to give you that. But I wanted to make sure everyone understood at the core, confidence is an inside job. If you want confidence on the outside, you need to nail it on the inside. But there are some things you can do on the outside to project yourself to become more confident as well. These are some things I've done that were incredibly impactful for shifting my public image and then also my personal brand. Upgrade your wardrobe and personal style. I don't have pictures of this. If you stalk me and go all the way to the beginning of my Instagram, when I started showing up on social media for my business, I was living on a small island in the middle of COVID. I wear a bikini and tie-dye every day. I didn't comb my hair. It's very evident. Like, it's just very obvious. I did not care at all. I was focused on getting a result. That doesn't always work online, right? If you want to build credibility, authority, you want people to trust you, you want to always be up-leveling and upskilling. That's why it's so important to have a role model or a vision board, an idea of the woman that you're becoming to compare yourself to. Because if you don't have the idea of the woman you want to become, you're going to make the mistake of comparing yourself to everyone else around you and the people you know. Not good comparisons. And probably not even as helpful comparisons, because you probably want to go even further surpass the people that are around you. So you should only be comparing yourself to the woman that you want to become. So for me, what was very helpful, I am not a stylish person. Like Julia, I'm not materialistic in that way. I could wear a bathing suit every day. I could care less. Muay Thai shorts, sweet. No shoes, even better. I went a year without shoes. It was a great year, right? I prefer that. But I knew that in order to have the business I wanted to have and to open up the opportunities that I wanted to have, I would have to make some changes. Knowing nothing about style and also not caring, I realized, okay, this is a pain point for me. I invested in a personal stylist. I did. Excellent investment. I didn't realize, until I had her, I did not realize how much anxiety I had. I was turning down invites to really important events because I just didn't know how to dress. Talk about a lack of confidence. Yeah? That cleared that up for me. Understanding personal style. Upgrading, maybe it means upgrading your hair and makeup routine. Something that's gonna make you feel more confident. Maybe it's correcting and prioritizing your posture. I can tell you, one of the best investments I've ever made was in an etiquette coach. Did anyone even know an etiquette coach existed?
I didn't even know that existed. I saw that
Thought
one.
of
What?
the
That's
old
a
times.
thing?
Like proper English. Like organized.
Eat at the restaurant, like.
Let me tell you,
Yeah, okay.
there's so much more to etiquette than just how to hold silverware. And when it comes to, like, I charge really high ticket. Some of my coaching offers are really high ticket. I've had clients at 25K, 50K, I've had 100K a year clients. I wanted to be able to build that, but I had to look the part in order to close those deals, for sure. That was mission critical. If you're wanting to work with high net worth, affluent clients, if you want to charge higher ticket prices, they do notice the etiquette. In fact, I felt like I was part of some secret society after this because I realized just little things that I was never taught. You saw where I come from. I definitely don't know how to hold a wine glass. I didn't even know there was a way to hold a wine glass. Okay? Didn't even know this existed. But learning these little nuanced things, I was able to get invited to different rooms. It wasn't just because of the way that I was projecting myself. I realized when I learned how to hold myself, when I learned how to correct my posture, when I learned how to speak eloquently, I became an asset to whoever was around me. So all of a sudden, I started getting invites to speak, invites on podcasts, invites to family office and high net worth events, only because I made other people look good based on the way I projected myself. Okay, so be thinking of that too. Sometimes these opportunities are based on how you're making other people look. That's for the high net worth side. On a very tangible, like simple free side, from doing basic branding for myself, just being really consistent with a color and a font and my picture, I was able to get on podcasts as someone who didn't even have a business yet. Why? Because it made these new podcasts look good to have someone who looked like they were branded versus everyone else just had scattered images and random photos that didn't make sense. So when it comes to your image, there's a currency there on how you hold yourself. It's a currency because it becomes a value to other people and that opens doors for you. Okay, if you want to sound confident, what do we do when we're nervous? We start talking really fast. This is something I'm working on. I love talking fast. And I have a global audience. Sometimes it gets harder. I had too much coffee today, which is why I'm still speaking fast. But confidence, if you practice speaking slower, it creates a feeling of confidence. See, every time, and you can't see from my perspective, but I can share with you right now that when I'm speaking, every time I slow down, anyone who looked away for half a second, I have everyone's eyes immediately. We think we need to talk louder to get attention, faster to get attention, to hold engagement. Key is actually just slowing down, creating those pauses. Practice self-advocating in regular conversations. Julie, I'm so proud of you for saying, hey, we agreed on this. This is what it looks like. We're increasing the prices. Yes, advocate for yourself. Have conversational content prepared. This is for especially in person. When someone asks you, what do? You probably do a lot of things. We all do. But you should be thinking, what is the outcome I want out of this conversation? And they don't need to know everything I do. They just need to know what's relevant to them. So I'm going to think of the one thing I do that's relevant to that person, and I'm only going to share that because I'm focused on the outcome. Especially networking events. Does Bali have a lot of networking events? Some, yeah. I haven't been to any networking events in Bali yet. But this is something I always saw in the US going to networking events. I own a restaurant and have a real estate portfolio and I'm a coach and I'm a yoga instructor and I'm like, whoa, you do a lot of things. But now I think it's awesome you do a lot of things, but I don't know how to connect with you. If I know just one thing about your business and who you're looking for, I can look through my Rolodex and think, oh, I should introduce you to this person. I can invite you here. I can do this for you. So by over communicating everything you do one-to-one, you might actually be limiting the opportunities you have, right? So being really focused on what you're doing. Other conversational content, like, why are you at this event? What's important to you? What have you learned recently? Book recommendations. Always be, instead of just going with the flow and seeing where conversations go, there's a real value in driving your conversations, even especially the casual ones, into a productive outcome, right? What I see a lot of is, we're going to talk about the weather. We're going to talk about what I did this weekend. Let me tell you about the traffic. That is dead time in communication, and all communication matters, right? So think about what is an outcome here that I can have with this person that would create something fruitful. I'm always thinking when I meet someone, what can I teach this person? What can I learn from this person? What can I share with this person? That way there's a foundation of what the follow-up is. How do we actually build some sort of relationship, whether it's an acquaintance or a business partner or a referral partner, whatever that looks like. Confidence is intentional and clear. If you're not clear on why you're at this event or what you want to get out of this conversation, it's not going to come across confident. Okay, practical tips of sounding confident. Increase your vocabulary. Read hard books. Listen to intellectual content. Simple, but it makes a huge difference. Huge difference. Eliminate filler words. A lot of us did Muay Thai, and we know one thing. How you train is going to be how you fight. Yeah? So if you're training and you're like half training, what's going to happen in a fight? Not good, probably, right? How you speak with your friends is how you're going to communicate online, in content, on stage. I've seen people like profanity, for example. If you're using profanity all the time with your friends, I see it slip out all the time. I've seen it slip out on some major stages where you can see the word comes out and the speaker is, oh no, I just said this in front of 5,000 people. Words are like bullets, you can't take them back. So I would encourage you, instead of thinking that your smaller conversations, just my friends, just people I know, those conversations matter because you're building a habit right now. What habit do you want to create if you want to be a successful speaker and creator? Have your friends call you out every time you say like, or If you have a partner or a best friend or a boyfriend, they're going to love this as a personal challenge. Make it fun, okay? Really important to make it fun. But whenever I have clients that are married, I always tell them, I want your kids to hold you accountable. They're very good accountability buddies. Anytime you hear me say this, call me out on it. You'll start realizing how often you actually use those words. Especially filler words that don't have value. Seriously, legit, well, any of these words too, doesn't actually communicate anything. It's just space. So you actually get more dramatic in your speaking and sound more confident when you're taking these out. Okay. Pay attention to the questions you're asked and answer them without giving extra information. This is really, really hard for some people. So when someone asks you a question, what do? Don't add the why, how you got there, what you love about it, your client. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Just answer the question, what do? And then ask the question back. The shorter answers that are clear and concise come across way more confident than when you spiral into now you're on a tangent talking about what you do for fun. So just take a pause and just be intentional. What is the question? And what is almost the minimum amount of words I can use to answer this question? Let me be concise. Why? Because we're focused on having productive communication. We have an intention. We want to get there. We don't need any friction to getting to the intention. Assume you are understood without double checking or ranting. And I know women do this a lot, especially. Does that make sense? Yeah. Do you understand what I'm meaning? I want you from here on out to just assume that someone else has the capability of self-advocating. So if someone else doesn't understand you, they're going to ask, what do you mean? And if they didn't ask, what do you mean? They understood you. When you're constantly, especially in sales calls, this is important. We're constantly saying, does that make sense? Comes across like you're not sure about yourself, right? You're not sure about your communication. Always ask permission before sharing long stories. This is a long story. Would you like the long version or the short version? Little things like that, you really take control of a conversation, and it comes across as respectful communication as well. Now, if you're evolving in your identity and your personal brand, and it feels uncomfortable for you, because now you're comparing yourself to the version of who you want to be, everyone's falling short of that, because I know we have big goals and a big vision. I want you to hold on to knowing that it takes about 100 days of consistency, showing up as this new version, for people to catch up. Okay? That should be no foreign concept to you, because if you go to the gym and you're putting in all the work, do you look different on day 2? No. It takes about 3 months to see a change. I want you to think the same about branding. So keep showing up anyways. Okay. Okay. That concludes today. Do we have questions?
Definitely like other things to talk about, like, because that was actually something that I wanted to like bring to the room. Was like, if there's like other lectures that you'd be interested in terms of like other topics that like Tiffany and I, and actually, you know, people in the room have a lot of value to share as well. So if you guys are based here and you're like, hey, I want to do another female mastermind, I want to teach something, also get that opportunity. But yeah, if there are no questions, also like, is there anything else that you want to learn from Tiffany that she can talk on? Because I have stuff that to say, like to ask about.
If you don't have something like a question, just what was your biggest aha? Or the biggest takeaway that you just had?
The unlearning stuff.
Unlearning.
Unlearning, yeah.
Yeah.
Not just focusing on, but like the other ways, the negative parts out of your own mind.
100%. It's not that you're not confident. It's that you have something you need to get rid of, which reframes your identity to confident and restores it.
Are there things you do before you speak or group?
No, I don't.
No breath or
Nothing. I'm sorry. I know.
no.
Okay, so my goal was to become a speaker, and I wanted to always be ready at the drop of a hat. And so when I first started, when it came to creating Instagram stories, Instagram's come some along. I feel old now. Back in the day, when you went to create an Instagram story, do you remember it was like 5 seconds at a time that you can record?
Yeah.
You would create a story. I forgot about that. When did that change? I'm so happy.
Yeah, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, this is probably 5 years ago. You would every time you would clip, it would record 5 seconds at a time. Before the reels. So in those times, if I so much as didn't like the way I pronounced a word, I would re-clip that 5 seconds. So a 30-second story, an hour on average for me. And I hated it. It does not take an hour to do a 30-second clip. And so I know that growth happens when you're not comfortable. It happens outside of the comfort zone. So I went and I decided I'm going to blitz events with no planning. And I'm just going to put myself and prove to myself that I can do it. So 5 years ago when I was first starting my business, kind of what we're doing with events now, I would host 3 events a week on this island and invite the whole island to join in. One of those events...
How did I not find out about this?
I know.
At the same time.
This was between January and June of 2021. I Maybe it was a women's accountability. Maybe it was co-ed accountability. Maybe it was a major mastermind. I had people flying in from Chiang Mai to come to this mastermind. Maybe it was Facebook ads. Maybe it was branding. There were so many topics. I chose a different topic every time. Time management, productivity, energy management. I wanted to get super comfortable speaking without a slideshow, without notes, without overthinking. And so what I trained myself to do every single time I would get into a room, everyone's here to learn something, let me just find out what they want to learn. Exactly what I shared in the beginning. So I didn't prepare anything. I didn't get nervous because I wasn't thinking about I have to memorize something. That gives me anxiety, man. Memorizing a script, memorizing bullet points, I can't do it. And I've encouraged a lot of speakers to do this as well. So I learned a different skill rather than memorizing. I learned the skill of improv. Can I just focus on bringing all my communication to the finish line of the intention of what this event is about? And I've done that at least conservatively 50 different events I've done this for, with different topics, completely random, almost no time to prepare. And I got so comfortable because I just kept making friends. I just kept making friends. So I don't get nervous because I know like a stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet. And I'm just here to provide value. And you guys are going to tell me what value you want, and I'm just going to respond. So I know everyone's going to get value because I'm going to ask, and I'm going to deliver on that. So no getting nervous anymore for me. Yeah.
So when preparing to present something, is there a certain format that you should follow? Like you obviously choose your topic, and then you'd have an intro, and then some key points, and then time back to your purpose of why you're presenting. Mm-hmm. Is there some sort of structure that you kind of run through previously?
There's a lot of different frameworks for speaking, and so whenever someone asks me a question, I hate to be annoying about this, but you have to reverse engineer the results you want. When it comes to speaking as a business model, there's so many different types of speaking. There's speaking to sell, there's getting paid to speak, there's webinar format, there's podcasts. You have to, before you speak, you should think what you want to get out of it. What is the point that I'm speaking? And reverse engineer from there. If you're getting paid to speak, you're not allowed to talk about what you do. There's usually like some rules with that. If it's a keynote versus a supporting like breakout session, for example. So there's different frameworks that you would use for speaking based on the outcome you want to have and just based on the dynamic that you have. If you want to do free events, which I think everyone should do to get the reps in, like just share your knowledge, be a value giver, just give people as much value as possible. I love doing free events because it always translates to something online. Every time I did a free event in Copenhagen, people thought it was a lot of work because I'm doing 3 free events and coordinating all this in person. Yeah, but I got online clients because I recorded it. So I was happy to give to the community for free because I'm making money anyways in the back end. Everyone wins in that environment. You know what I mean? So if you're looking to do free events, the framework I usually use, quick introduction, 3 things you want to learn, decide the timing on how much time you want to spend on each, and then some sort of call to action or a way to connect with you. But make sure people know through speaking, what can I learn from this person? What referrals or what clients can I send this person now that I know their zone of genius? And how can I support this person? What do I want to get out of it? Right? Same 3 questions. Everyone should know that by the end of your time talking. It's also going to be the fastest feedback for marketing. See how many people show up. See what questions they ask. Did your marketing for that event attract the right people? If not, something needs to change. Way faster feedback.
Let's finish the mastermind part before we end.
Perfect. Thank you, ladies.
All right, so yeah, now before we end, we're just gonna do a quick introduction. We're not gonna have too much time to do much masterminding, but I think it'll be really cool that each girl goes around and introduces themselves and kind of says what they're working on or just tells a little bit about their story. So something that I've done in the past is I do a voice memo and I copy the transcript of that. Apparently there's like an app that will do this for you, but for now it's like my workflow is like that I copy the transcript, put it in ChatGPT, upload it to Notion, and also to group chat. So it gives a little bit more about each other. So yeah, we just actually technically have 8 minutes left, but you know, if you guys, you might have to head out.
Do we want to decide like 60 seconds per person to make it concise that way we don't get into like stories?
Yeah.
Do you mind hold time?
If you guys can keep it the light version of just
You want to get time to
do you want it open-ended? Just be like, hey, this is who I am, this is like what I'm excited about, what I'm doing, or do we want more specific questions, or do you think you can work with that? The whole point is just for you guys to kind of like quickly get to know each other, see who else is in the room. And yeah.
Short and sweet.
Okay, sweet, awesome. Well, you guys both know Tiffany now. We've talked very long, so I'm just gonna go ahead and then give them a voice memo for this, and then pass it around the room.
Hi everyone, so nice to meet you. I'm Paige Rothschild. I'm from California. I've lived in Miami for 1 year now and have an online business where I help very successful wealthy individuals rewire their